Based on Article 25 of the Kingdom Law on Financial Supervision, St. Martin was allowed for the years 2017 and 2018 to deviate from the golden rule as stipulated in Article 15 of the same law, that budgets should be in balance or show a surplus. In fact, our budget 2018 has a deficit of 197.1 million guilders. It is purely because of this budget deficit that St. Martin was and is in need of liquidity support to be able to keep going on. The required liquidity support for 2018 was estimated at the amount of 166,900,000 guilders. On July 6, 2018, the Kingdom Council of Ministers has approved our quarterly request for liquidity support. The quarterly report will be determined via an advice of CFT that is based upon our obligatory quarterly reporting on the situation at hand. For now, the liquidity support will be in the form of a zero interest-bearing loan. To receive liquidity support, the government of St. Martin will need to sign a loan agreement with the Netherlands. Therefore, the Minister of Finance needs to be mandated, and consequently a budget amendment supported with an Article 11 advice from CFT and approved by Parliament, is required. Madam Chair Lady, I would like to elaborate on some of the remarks made by the Committee for Financial Supervision in its latest Article 11 advice. The CFT has agreed in this advice that this budget amendment is necessary. The CFT has at the same time advised government that there should be a budget amendment for the 2018 budget that adequately reflects measures taken to reduce cost while considering actual expenses and income developments that have occurred during the first half of 2018. According to the CFT, the budget amendment must also be aligned with the redevelopment plans and policy intentions of the government, in this case the NRRP and the governing program. While this is required, we have opted, in the interest of time and considering the urgent need to receive the liquidity support to continue to meet our and your operational responsibilities and obligations, to submit this budget amendment request to Parliament absent the substantive changes recommended by the CFT. These remarks will, however, be addressed via a second amendment to the 2018 budget. The second budget amendment is currently being prepared, and I intend to have the draft amendment discussed in the Council of Ministers this month, after which it will follow the normal procedures and eventually be delivered to Parliament for handling and approval. As you may recall, Madam Chair Lady, in June of this year, we requested the first tranche of liquidity support for St. Martin. That request was approved by the Kingdom Council of Ministers on July 6th, and in August we received the corresponding loan contract from The Hague. In recognizing that a budget amendment would be needed to mandate the Minister of Finance to sign the loan agreement for liquidity support, the internal organizations, Council of Advice, CFT, and the Governor have expedited their handling of this matter ahead of the official deadlines. For that, I wish to sincerely thank them on behalf of the government of St. Martin and its people for recognizing the urgent nature of such a request, especially given our present state of affairs. And I also wish to thank the House of Parliament for adjusting its scheduled meetings to table this budget amendment and mandate request as a matter of utmost urgency. I hope that in the not-too-distant future we can structure this process to better reflect the time limitations that we so often face. The lengthy process and my concern over the slow pace of receiving the liquidity support and the entire process around Article 25 has been discussed several times with the CFT, the representative of the Netherlands, as well as with the State Secretary for Interior Affairs and Kingdom Relations, Mr. Raymond Knops, more recently. As I already made clear to the State Secretary during his visit this week, we are in September 2018 and we are still waiting for the liquidity support over the first quarter of 2018. And in order to prevent the people, pointing fingers at certain parties, this is an equal responsibility in the preparation of reaching at the quarterly reports and applying for the liquidity support. So efforts from both sides are required, and we have agreed on a mutual beneficial approach to speed up the process of receiving the liquidity support. Taking the current lengthy process of getting the liquidity support available on our bank account into consideration, we choose to amend the budget for the entire possible required liquidity support for 2018. With the approval of this budget amendment, it will be possible for government to enter into the simple loan agreement we receive from the Netherlands and do so for each quarter once approved by the Kingdom Council of Ministers for the 2018 liquidity support.
Tell them, connecting you.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGE.
Hello, St. Martin. My name is Jose Helaga and I play basketball. I have organized basketball events in St. Martin. Sport matters to me because it makes everybody come together in unity. So I challenge the businesses community to step up for sports and help us rebuild and repair our facility. I'm also asking the community to nominate local businesses in your area to take on the challenge and step up for sport because sports matter. Check out the Department of Sports SXM Facebook page for more information. Hashtag Sport Matter, hashtag Are You In?
In the presentation, you mentioned, or it was mentioned, that there are 15 immigration officers being trained in 2018 and 10 custom officers. It was not clear to me if these are new officers or if these are current officers, as well as the ones for 2019. So is this 30 existing immigration officers being trained over 2 years, or can you clarify how many existing, how many new recruits, and similarly for the customs officers? Can the minister or the chief, through the minister, Mr. Chairman, explain or clarify what specifically the training of the officers, or especially the current officers, is focused on? Will St. Martin's budget, I'm very concerned in terms of us not having enough resources, and pleased that we are training and retraining, training new and retraining current officers to be able to meet the needs and the changing needs. But I'm concerned in terms of the budget. One or two of my colleagues already mentioned about certain challenges that the ministry already faced with be it the function book being placed in correct scales and complaints coming from current officers throughout the justice chain where this is concerned. So I'm concerned about the added burden of more human resources on St. Martin's budget. How will we be able to maintain the extra officers that are being trained? Has the function book, and I believe that was asked, but I'm being a bit more specific, been adjusted and approved to reflect this? As a segue to that question, Mr. Chairman, are the current officers being compensated at the correct scale and step as per the functions they execute? Also coming out of your presentation, or the presentation, was that the initial discussion of the 40 extra human resource officers that would have been given as aid to St. Martin or utilized as aid to St. Martin was re-evaluated, etc., and a new agreement came about. What exactly were the top challenges being faced by the Immigration and Customs Department of the justice chain that would lead to us coming to an agreement that X 40 people are needed and or training, retraining? And that's why I asked earlier, what was the training specifically geared towards? So I need to understand what were our challenges prior to deciding that this solution is necessary. In that respect, can the ministry also present in a, I don't know, spreadsheet type of system, how many local officers we have at the different ranks, how many from Dutch assistants, from the Netherlands and or within the kingdom are currently on the island, in which ranks, how many new recruits, and that would be then currently for 2018, as well as the projected number that is needed. And that does not have to be done verbally. It can be sent in writing for me to peruse. Is it clear? Seeing our partnership in this kingdom, can the minister clarify whether it is or is not so that where any part of the kingdom falls short, that assistance should be guaranteed to be able to live up to kingdom laws, United Nations laws, etc.? I see a question mark. Should I clarify that? We belong to a kingdom of 4 parts. We have certain regulations that we should live up to. We had a presentation here in Parliament the other day from the BAC department on treaties. There are certain treaties we have to uphold, etc. Border control has been tossed around on the island with different conceptions of what it actually means. Even on border control, there are certain treaties we have to uphold. So that is why I've been asking the question as to what were the specific challenges we had prior to these agreements. Is it with the question, I don't want to answer the question, but for instance, one of them could have been, I don't want to be misinterpreted here, that we were not able to live up to certain international regulations. And you can specify whichever those were, if that is the case. Is it so then that we can just say, well, we can't because we can't afford it? Or should then the kingdom partners automatically step up to the plate to be able to assist us in this without usurping our responsibilities?
Ma. How you doing? You busy?
I hear, just paying some bills, taking care of business, you know what it is?
I know, you're doing your online banking.
I don't have to stand in those long lines to pay bills. I can transfer when I want. I can check my account wherever. It's like the bank open 24/7. I even here checking the statement right now as we're talking. How's Miami?
Well, that's why I'm calling. I'm finishing up a few songs now, but I'm afraid that studio time might be more than I thought. And I was wondering if I could get some help with some funds, and I could pay you back as soon as I get back to St. Martin.
Let me check my account. How much you need?
I think 500 should be enough.
I can transfer it to you while online. Direct from me to you. No problem.
Great. Thank you so much, Ma. I'll get online with Viv now.
Alright, darling. You know who you're for?
I need to know who you're for.
Contact WIB today for your complete personal online banking experience. Available for all mobile devices. The Windward Islands Bank, now your online banking partner in progress.
Who you for?
But I specifically wanted to use this opportunity to zero in on the border with the French side. Everyone knows that in 2016, I think it was, that the situation at Oyster Pond escalated and got out of hands. The Oyster Pond, ever since I know it, has always been Dutch side, St. Martin waters. The border ran alongside the road, and the water, the pond, has always been Dutch side water. Over the years, several attempts have been made by the French to gain a portion of it, to claim a piece of it. It happened during the time that former Prime Minister Westcott Williams was in office. It happened when former Prime Minister Marcel Gomes was in office. And again, it showed its ugly head when my person was Prime Minister as well. Always, basically, the French authorities have been told, hands off Oyster Bay, hands off Oyster Pond, it is Dutch waters. They then, with the presence of the new Prefet at the time, Madame Lubis, they stepped up action again and went so far as to arrest the owner of Captain Oliver's restaurant and marina, because they were repairing the marina and they were doing so without a permit. The person told them that she did not need a permit from the French side, and they told her yes, and if she continues, they would lock her up. They confiscated the barge that was there. Anyway, the whole thing started to escalate, blow up, and it created some tension between the Prime Minister at the time and the authorities in the prefecture, in terms of, you cannot do this. Discussions were held with the Minister of Foreign Relations, Minister Bert Koenders, and he said that they will look into it. A meeting was held. Unfortunately, I was off island at the time, and basically, from what I was made to understand, an agreement had reached that the status quo would continue to be observed. They have signed documents or minutes of previous meetings where that would happen. Nonetheless, the French has continued. The land border demarcation negotiations were to start since 2016, and they are yet to start. In the meantime, the French apparently have kept pushing it off, and they have not started. Pending the finalization of this, it was always agreed upon that we would have the status quo. The French has given it an interpretation. For them, status quo is how they see it, is how they will maintain it. While over the years, everybody wanting water rights came to the Dutch side for it. The Captain Olivers, when they bought the property, requested a permit for the marina on the French side, and they told him, you got to go to the Dutch side because it is Dutch waters. The permit then was given by the then central government, and all permits after that have always been given by the Dutch side. The restaurant operates with a permit from the Dutch side. The workers are registered on the Dutch side. They pay their taxes on the Dutch side. But this new development now suddenly emerged. We have seen and taken note of press releases and photo opportunities that the good relations with the French side that were tarnished have been restored, and everybody is working nice and well with each other. In the meanwhile, what is not yet resolved is the issue of Captain Oliver's and the marina and the restaurant. A property, a business that was paying taxes on the Dutch side, destroyed by the hurricane. The owners want to rebuild, and from what I was recently told, they were told in a meeting with the Prime Minister that it would have to go to the French side to request a permit. Now, I want, if the Minister can provide us with clarity on this, has a date been set for the land border demarcation, because the sea border treaty has already been signed. Actually, it was signed here in the old government administration building. The land border demarcation treaty is yet to be negotiated as far as I know, and the question is, has a date been set? Because after we met with Minister Kunders in Aruba, he said that was in January 2017 that it was going to be held in the course of 2017, and we are almost in the last quarter of 2018, and still no date as far as I know, but probably the minister knows and has that information.
It's been said that behind every door, possibility awaits. How much possibility depends on which door you open first. Every day, we help our customers discover the possibilities in their lives. It all starts with a conversation. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
In 2014, a report by the Council for the Maintenance of Law and Order, de Raad voor de Rechtshandhaving, was published regarding border control, grenscontrole op het personenverkeer in Sint Maarten. Later that year, 2014, the Minister of Justice then, your predecessor, responded to this report. That's on the 12th of August 2014, to be exact, that the Minister of Justice of St. Martin responded to that report. And my question regarding such is whether the minister can now apprise us of any progress on that reaction. For example, in the reaction to the report by the Raad voor de Rechtshandhaving, the minister indicated that he would be dealing with matters such as the rechtspositie, so the position of immigration officers, etc., and several other intentions are expressed in that reaction of the 12th of August 2014. And therefore, my request is if the minister can provide us with an update as to the compliance to that report and the reaction by the minister. Speaking of the Council for the Maintenance of Law and Order, the Raad voor de Rechtshandhaving, they have announced to carry out several, as they call them, vervolgonderzoeken, continuation, review of previous onderzoeken. One of those vervolgonderzoeken, according to the Raad voor de Rechtshandhaving, is regarding toelating en uitzetting. With respect to that, my question is the minister aware of the status of this review/investigation by the Raad voor de Rechtshandhaving? Was it started? And where are they now? So what does the minister know of this vervolgonderzoek? The only other authority that can request the Raad voor de Rechtshandhaving to conduct an investigation besides the Raad itself, besides the Council itself, is the Minister of Justice. Does the Minister of Justice have any request pending for the Council for the Maintenance of Law and Order to investigate? If there is no such request by the Minister for an investigation by the Council for Maintenance of Law and Order, does the Minister, within his scope of the Ministry of Justice, see any area that should potentially be investigated by the Council for Maintenance of Law and Order?